Hey, I'm Justin, and I want to tell you about my supplement stack. The reason I want to share my supplement stack is because I think it's one of my favorite hobbies. I think it's a source of a lot of the positive psychological and physical benefits I experience in my life. And I think that there are stacking benefits between supplements. So, what I appreciate about placebo controlled double blind studies is that they're really great at isolating single nutrients or single molecules that benefit people. But what they don't effectively do is discover synergies between vitamins or nutrients. So what I mean is that if we take something like longevity and we talk about something really nerdy and specific like the NAD plus salvage pathway, you might be taking tryptophan for some reason, but you might be not you might not have enough niacin or something in your system. And so even if you look at placebo controlled studies that say target the use of tryptophan, you might not see results as if you were supplementing the whole pathway. And so, I think that in another side, we'll never see those studies because what are the chances that you take a certain pathway and add 10 or 15 supplements, which is totally insane, and then run a 2 year trial with people who are guzzling down 15 supplements a day? You're not going to see those trials. So there's these weird people out there in society, like myself, who do take stacks. We call them stacks, and we take a bunch of stuff, and it might be some creatine, it might be this. And I think for me, since I am 40 now, and I think that like my energy levels and my mental acuity feels good, and I do practice an intermittent fasting and low carb diet, and I do about, I'd say, an hour and a half of exercise per week, so not very much. I think I derive more of my metabolic health from my supplements than most people. I think, I lean on those levers more than other people. So without further ado, I want to talk through a list of many, many supplements. And for each, they're each going to pop up on the screen. And for each, I'm just going to give like one sentence. I'm going to limit myself to one sentence as to why that supplement's interesting to me. If you want to see the nerdy way I organize my supplements, it's actually like this. So I actually have the dosages and the supplements organized first by purpose and secondarily by what it is and dosage. So what I can do is I can look almost like a map, and on one day, I might find that I've gone through a period of a lot of stress on my immune system, and I might think, oh man, I need to do something that supports my mitochondrial energy and my cellular health. And then I'll look in there and it'll be a cluster of all the supplements that relate to that. So I'll lean into that part of my stack. And then other times I might feel, really over energized and really crazy for a few days, but in a positive way. I'll be like, okay, this is like not sustainable. So I might find myself, having some L-theanine or some other extracts that are good and that help supplement your immune system. So some people might say, wow, that's kind of insane, but I don't know. I think that like using herbs and other non-pharmaceuticals as a preventative stopgap measure before one reaches any sort of critical or need to be medicated is beneficial. But anyway, so without further ado, let's get into the list. So at the top we have, I think one of the more important ones is magnesium threonate. Magnesium threonate is a form of magnesium that's available to the mind, and it helps with your nervous system relaxation and does a lot more than that in the body, but I primarily use it to modulate stress and focus. I'm also a fan of ashwagandha. It has a lot of effects, but I like its calming effect on the nervous system. In terms of focus and plasticity, I enjoy lion's mane mushrooms. I also, for the health of my central nervous system, I'm a big fan of phosphatidylcholine. Phosphatidylcholine is, I don't want to get into it, but it helps your body with the synthesis of acetylcholine and also with all the outsides of the cells, the cell membranes in your body. I really enjoy acetyl L-carnitine. So L-carnitine is involved in fat metabolism and the metabolism of lipids in your body as part of that pathway. It can be a rate limiting part of that pathway. The acetyl form is available in the brain, so it can help your body, especially if you're on a ketogenic or low carb diet, use fats for energy. But I also actually supplement for L-carnitine while I'm fasting to make sure that my energy demands are met. And N of one placebo seems to work for me. I do have berberine. Berberine I use as to help with my energy metabolism. I also use it if I consume a large amount of meals or when I break my fast to help prevent large blood sugar spikes. People call it like a poor man's metformin. Metformin, depending on who you ask, is or is not good to supplement with, but because in my life I've struggled with pre-diabetes, I believe that berberine is something that's good to have around mealtime, and again helps me with my energy metabolism. So I mentioned acetyl L-carnitine. I'm also a fan of L-carnitine just for the in-body effects, for similar reasons. Alpha GPC I keep around. That's more of a recreational compound I might use if I want to drive up my focus, and it helps with the levels of choline in the brain, and specifically helps with your level of focus. But I do worry with alpha GPC that the brain might reach homeostasis, so I might use it, once every other week kind of thing, if I want to like have a bout of concentration. I'm a big fan of evening primrose oil. What's interesting is that gamma linoleic acid, which is what you get from evening primrose oil, is very important for the skin. And your body actually, when you're younger, you make a ton of it. And as you get older, if you're like me and you're 40, you probably have a hard time making it. And so it's called a conditionally essential amino acid. So it's actually, a conditionally essential fatty acid. So if you're like me and you're not 25, you probably don't have adequate levels of gamma linoleic acid. And that means your body can't actually create the oil and support your skin health, and it serves other anti-inflammatory effects around the body, and it's actually very popular women's supplement. I do take nicotinamide mononucleotide, NMN. It's not going to be available for a couple of years, so I actually just ordered almost a year's worth. I'm going to actually freeze a bunch in the freezer. That's how insane I am. Of course, I take omega-3. Omega-3 is very important. It's part of almost every cell in the body, and it's required to make certain important compounds in the brain. Niacin I take here and there. I take it especially during a fast or before working out to help increase blood flow. I also like niacin because it's part of the NAD plus salvage pathway. So NAD gives your cells energy. It helps you repair your DNA. And if anything happens to you, your body kind of puts your long-term DNA healing on pause to deal with the event. And the event could even be chronic stress. So you could actually age yourself very, very quickly by always being stressed out. And if you have a stressful, high-performance job or responsibility, if you're like me and you also want to live for a while, you worry about the lack of resources your body might have for DNA repair. So I use niacin for that. I also use NMN and for that. So NMN helps on the inside, so meaning it helps your body generate more NAD plus, which helps with your energy metabolism and DNA repair. But niacin helps the salvage pathway. So after your body's used NAD and NAD plus, it helps salvage the NAD plus so it can be used again. And I probably made a mistake with how I explained NAD and NAD plus because I am definitely not a doctor. So the other thing I take is resveratrol. Resveratrol is another one of those compounds that shouldn't really be a big deal. You probably shouldn't need it unless you massively do need it, and then you should be taking it. So it also supports the NAD plus synthesis pathway. I take glycine and NAC together. Some people call that GlyNAC. As you age, your levels of glutathione drop, and glutathione as a reservoir in your cells helps your body buffer oxidative stress. So you can imagine that when you're younger, you have all this like glutathione, and it's almost sitting as like a pool in the cells. And then if there's a lot of extra chemicals flowing around, like oxidative chemicals in your cells are like, that's okay, I can neutralize it. And they're using this glutathione. And what happens as you get older is your glutathione levels drop. And then unfortunately, if there's a stressful event in your cell and there's a lot of oxidative stress, either from like oxygen or other sources, your cell will just be like, right, I don't want to die, so I'm going to stop working. And so glutathione actually allows you, it gives your body the ability to buffer stress internally. Similarly, I have another supplement here, astaxanthin, which is actually a lipid, a fat-soluble molecule, and it allows your body to incorporate astaxanthin into cell membranes and other parts of your body, and it actually serves as another stress buffer. So both glycine NAC, that combination, plus astaxanthin, I sort of take regularly, like daily, sort of as an insurance policy against stress, metabolic stress. And there are many, many more reasons one would be interested in that. Also in this like de-stress section of my supplements, I have vitamin D, turmeric, which are, vitamin D is essential for many reasons. Not to mention depression, it's actually a hormone. And turmeric as well is a turmeric extract, which is actually the whole turmeric ground up and taken, not just like an extract of the I always get it wrong, capsicum, cannot say it. And then we have betadine HCl, which I take for digestion, and I also sometimes have a bile acid. So again, as you get older, I'm 40. So as you get older, your digestive system just doesn't have the strength it used to. There could be several reasons for that. If I'm going to have a particularly rich meal, I will definitely have some bile acid with some water first, especially if there's a lot of fats, cream, or whatever. I eat a low carb diet. And then during the meal, I'll have some HCl tablets to help acidify my stomach. If I'm really concerned or I really want to amp up my digestion, I also take a probiotic and I might have some apple cider vinegar. I believe that's it. That's a lot. And you very rarely in society get a picture of, someone's whole supplement stack. So that's the whole stack. That's everything. I've, over the years, I've tried a lot of things. I've been into this subject for probably about 15 years, and I've taken a lot of things and removed a lot of things. So for me, knowing my history, I'm someone who was pre-diabetic, who struggled with like anxiety and mood disorders, who is certainly not diabetic now, and who is in a good mood basically every day, who has energy, who has no serious problems now. But if I leave my health unattended, then I have problems very, very quickly. We're talking I would say within 1 to 2 months, sometimes within 10 days. So this is, for me, this is like a very fun hobby. I enjoy leaning into and investing in my mood and quality of life. If there's anything I missed, like if you're thinking, wow, why doesn't he have X, Y, and Z in his stack, I'd be interested actually to learn about more supplements. At this point, I'm pretty much keeping the list as it is, unless I'm convinced significantly that I should consider adding something else, because as anyone who plays around knows, you add one thing and all of a sudden everything else can go wrong. So if you were to get into supplementation, my recommendation would be to add one thing at a time, once every couple weeks, and slowly over some years you build up a good war chest. But it's good to sort of have families of supplements in mind, to know like, oh, someone mentioned all those work well together. That picking things out in isolation is great, but it can be a problem. Like if you supplement with magnesium, if you do it too much, you might need some potassium, and so without seeing a configuration altogether, it can be hard to know how things can go together, both in a nutritional sense and in a supplementary sense. Anyway, if you have any questions or you think that's cool, let me know. Okay, bye.